We voted, you're out of the reunion, my father smirked. I smiled back, then don't expect my $7,000 to pay for your Italy trip, as I blocked his card. Hey, sit down, my sister said with a grin. We need to talk. I hadn't even taken off my coat yet. The family group chat had scheduled a meeting at 6, but no one mentioned why. So there I was, standing in my parents' living room, holding a gift basket like an idiot. My mom gave me a tight smile from the armchair while Dad was sipping wine on the couch, looking way too comfy. My brother was by the window, pretending to scroll on his phone like he wasn't in on whatever was happening. What is this about? I asked, sensing something was off. Did someone die? No, my father said, putting his wine glass down a bit too dramatically. We just had a vote about the reunion. A vote? I asked. You're out, he said flatly. We decided it's best if you don't come to Tuscany with us next month. The room went dead silent. I blinked. You're joking. Nope, my sister said, practically glowing. We just think it's best for the group dynamic. I sighed through my nose. Group dynamic? You're always so tense, she went on. You make things stressful. Remember last year when you argued with the waiter about the service charge? You embarrassed Mom. I was the only one who noticed the extra $80 on the bill, I snapped. You're welcome, by the way. We just want peace this year, Mom said softly, avoiding my gaze. I looked around at them, all three of them. The ones I'd booked flights for, the ones who asked me to cover the villa deposit because Dad's bonus was late. That was $7,000 on my card, and they'd sent emojis as a thank you. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. You're kicking me out of the trip I planned and paid for? You offered, Dad shrugged. I didn't offer to be excluded from it. Well, my sister said, crossing her legs like she was a judge, you've been really uptight lately with all your little boundaries and budgets. You've changed. I let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, I started saying no. She ignored that. This is supposed to be fun, and honestly, you ruin the vibe. Ruin the vibe, I repeated. You mean I stopped you from drinking €18 spritzes on my card all day? You're overreacting, Mom cut in. Don't make this ugly. Oh, I won't. I calmly pulled out my phone, opened the travel account linked to the trip, and Dad's phone buzzed. What was that? He muttered, picking it up. That was me blocking the travel card, I said. The one I used to book your tickets, hotels, and that villa in Tuscany with the pool you just had to have. You know, the one none of you paid me back for. You can't do that, my sister hissed, standing up. Oh, I can and I did. What are we supposed to do now? My brother finally spoke, wide-eyed. The trip is in 3 weeks. Figure it out, I said. You're so relaxed, remember? Manifest the money. You're acting like a child, Mom snapped. I looked her straight in the eyes. No, Mom, I've stopped acting like a wallet. Dad stood up, furious. You're being spiteful. No, I said, grabbing my keys. I'm done. And just like that, I walked out, leaving them there in their designer chairs, wine glasses trembling, and their Tuscany dreams unpaid for. They didn't just betray me, they planned it together. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in my apartment, staring at the ceiling as my phone buzzed. My sister sent me 3 laughing emojis. I didn't reply. Around midnight, Mom texted, "Don't let this ruin everything. We still love you, but you just made the trip difficult." Difficult? I had paid for the entire trip, planned it, and booked the 5-star villa with all the extras because they begged me to. And now I was the problem. The next morning, everything unraveled even more. My cousin Maya called. We hadn't spoken much because my sister hated her and always made snide comments. "Hey," she said. "I heard what happened. You okay?" "How did you hear?" I asked, confused. There was a pause. "They posted about it." "Posted where?" "Instagram. Jenny said you had a breakdown and canceled your own trip because you were jealous." I felt my blood run cold. "What?" She posted a boomerang of wine glasses clinking with the caption, "When the toxic one finally takes himself out #reunion prep #narcissist free." I was speechless. My family had voted me out of a trip I paid for, lied about it, and were mocking me online. That's when I realized something deeper was going on, Maya continued. I wasn't going to say anything, but this isn't new. They've been spreading nasty stuff about you for months. Like what? They told people you were having money issues, that you begged to be included in the reunion, and that you threatened to cancel it if people didn't praise you more. I stood up from the couch, dizzy. She said what? Maya sounded awkward. She's been planning it everywhere. I think she's trying to isolate you. I hung up without a word. That same hour, I logged into my email. My flight itinerary was still there, the one I booked for the whole family. I opened it with trembling hands. Guess whose seat was upgraded to business class? My sister's. So, get this. I was checking my reservations and almost dropped my phone. I saw my sister had used my card, again. $1,500 just casually charged while I was too busy arguing with her to even notice. That was it for me. I called the airline, teeth clenched, and said, "Hey, cancel all the tickets under my last name, yes, all of them, especially seat 3A. Later that day, I hit up my parents' place, not to fight, but to just see their reaction. Mom opened the door, and her smile vanished as soon as she saw me. "Oh, it's you," she said. I walked in and went straight to the living room. Dad was there, reading the paper like it was still the 80s. Jenny was on her laptop, probably dreaming up the next trip. "You'll need a new card," I told her. She looked up, shocked. "The travel card?" I blocked it. "Flights? Cancelled. The villa? Booked by someone else. Tuscany is off." She was furious. "You wouldn't," she hissed. "I did," I laughed. "You ruined this trip the moment you cut me out." My dad finally peeked over his paper and advised me not to be rash. Rash? They tossed me out of my own travel plans, spent my cash, and let my sister drag my name through the mud online. This wasn't rash, this was payback. Jenny was livid, calling me bitter. "Bitter?" I said, whipping out a paper. "I just checked your bank statement." Her eyes widened. "Where'd you get that?" She stammered. "My card," I replied, and then showed her 90 days of charges, spas, designer bags, and a non-refundable yacht deposit. "You were gonna sail off too?" Mom tried to calm things down, but I wasn't having it. "You called me difficult for asking for receipts while she booked yachts on my card." Jenny lunged at the statement, trying to destroy it. "You've gone too far," she cried. "Nah," I shook my head, "I'm finally free." She was floored. I called the bank. Reported the fraud. "There's an investigation, Jenny." I dared, and guess what? They've got timestamps, IPs, delivery addresses. Not only are you losing your trip, but your credit score is about to tank. Get out. She screamed. "You're not part of this family anymore." "Finally," I said, "something we agree on." I left, casually mentioning they'd need a good story for the relatives come next month in Italy. A week after freezing the card and ruining their Italy plans, I got a lawyer letter in the mail, old school style. My own family was threatening to sue me for pulling the plug on their vacation. I didn't respond. Instead, I planned for the family dinner on Saturday, my last one ever. Dad opened the door and was instantly pale. "What are you doing here?" He barked. "Hey, you invited me via your lawyer letter," I smirked. Mom, Jenny, her boyfriend, my brother Liam, and some nosy aunts were all there. Perfect. I set up a little slideshow on the TV. Jenny rolled her eyes. "Another stunt?" "Yep, just aligning our facts before court," I said as I hit play. Slide 1, a screenshot of her upgrading her flight with my card. Slide 2, a hotel receipt, her signature, under my name. And a video of her tapping my card at a hotel with her boyfriend. Silence hit the room. Mom asked in disbelief, "What's this?" Jenny snatched the tablet, claiming it was all manipulated, but really, it was her spending, down to her spa days and fancy dinners. I was stressed, she cried. "You promised to help." I stepped up, I paid. "You stole." Dad slammed the table. "Stop, you're wrecking this family." I met his eyes. "You wrecked it when you kicked me out and joined Jenny in trying to sue me while she commits credit card fraud. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real-life stories happening around you." So, a few months ago, I was just done with being everyone's personal ATM. Jenny, my sister, was yelling at me, calling me pathetic. But I wasn't playing around anymore. I pulled out this official letter from my bank's fraud department, which clearly stated they were looking into some shady charges made by none other than Jennifer Walker. It was all formal, signed, and dated. Liam, who had been quiet up until now, leaned in and asked if I actually reported it. I told him, yeah, I did, and gave Jenny a week to sort it out. Instead, she just posted memes like nothing happened. Liam was shocked. Jenny tried to pull Liam to her side, but he didn't budge. Then I confronted her about using my name to book a yacht in Patano and how she just laughed when I got kicked out of a reunion. And now, She was acting as if I was the one betraying the family. My mom tried to scream about us being family. I was like, nope, we're just users and givers, and I'm over it. Jenny almost lunged at me, threatening that I'd regret this once my name got thrown around in court. She thought she had some dirt on me, but honestly, it was all about me bankrolling her extravagant lifestyle while she mocked me behind my back. I was cracking up and didn't back down, telling her how she treated me like a bank account, not family. It was a tense moment, and everyone just froze, caught in a mix of shame and anger. But here's the kicker, Liam stood up and backed me. He admitted he'd let things slide in the past to avoid drama but acknowledged I did the right thing. My mom tried to argue, but Liam shut it down, calling everyone out for their lies and gaslighting. Jenny accused him of jealousy, but he shot back, pointing out he never went as far as stealing a yacht. That was my cue to leave. I grabbed my coat and announced I was canceling the phone plans, Netflix, the whole shebang. If they wanted Tuscany, they'd have to work for it because this ATM was officially closed. I walked out and didn't look back. While they thought I'd crumble, it was actually them who did. That night, I was alive. I didn't sleep much, but it wasn't from anxiety, I just felt free for the first time. The next morning, my phone was unusually quiet. No messages telling me I'd overstepped, no guilt trips from mom, just peace. I enjoyed a cup of coffee, opened my windows wide, and blasted my favorite playlist. It felt great to burn that bridge and enjoy the freedom on the other side. But the silence didn't last long. At 3:42 p.m., Liam texted, saying the family was in chaos. Apparently, mom was crying, Jenny was hiding, and dad claimed I'd torn the family apart. I laughed at their drama. Liam reminded them who had been paying the bills all these years, and I just had to smirk. The next day, my inbox blew up, but not from the immediate family. Extended family, cousins, even distant aunts were reaching out. Jenny's now deleted Instagram stories and the fraud claims had everyone mad at her. They sent apologies, realizing what I'd been putting up with. One message from Aunt Clara stood out. Despite disowning my mom years ago over some inheritance drama, she was genuinely proud of me for standing my ground. By day 3, Jenny had a complete meltdown. Liam called me, saying she'd gone off on mom and dad, blaming me for everything and shouting about how her image was destroyed. Apparently, her dentist boyfriend, Brian, dumped her when he heard about the fraud stuff. I couldn't help but laugh. Liam mentioned something about grandma's will, which left me in shock. I hadn't known she left her house to me, as a little nod to the one person who didn't treat her like an ATM. Day 5 came around, and I was working from home when I heard a knock at my door. I almost laughed seeing my dad standing there, looking unsure of how to handle any of this. And that's where we stood, a mix of chaos and newfound freedom. I felt like he was forced to show up. So, I opened the door and stood there, blocking his way. He asked if he could come in, and I just said no. He flinched, then tried to put on a smile. I just wanted to talk, he said. I leaned against the door frame and replied, oh, now you want to talk? He started rubbing the back of his neck and said, your mom's not doing well. She hasn't eaten much since that dinner and Jenny. Dad, I cut him off sharply, if you're here to lay a guilt trip on me, just leave. I'm done being the family's doormat. He blinked and said, that's not fair. I snapped back, what's not fair is how you let Jenny humiliate me, steal from me, and lie to everyone, and you still treated her like she was royalty. I was your son. I even paid for your vacations, covered bills when things were tight, and all I got was silence and side eyes. He went silent, then said, I didn't come here to fight. I just wanted to say we were all wrong. I looked at him and said, you all erased me, and now that Jenny's exposed and the money's dried up, you remember me? He didn't answer. Before he left, he quietly asked if we could fix this. Without hesitation, I said no and shut the door. A few days later, it was Sunday. I woke up late, brewed a strong cup of coffee, and opened my laptop. I was dreaming of traveling, not to Italy but Iceland. A solo trip, just me, the open sky, and peaceful silence, no guilt, no expectations. I went ahead and booked it. Then, I checked my messages and found one from Jenny. It wasn't a rant or an insult for once, it was just, I hope you're happy. I stared at it for a while, then replied, it wasn't about winning, it was about stopping the game. And then I blocked her. It's been a few weeks since then. I moved to a new place, bigger, brighter, and most importantly, it's mine. I changed my number, closed all joint accounts, got a new credit card, and set boundaries with everyone, even Liam, who's still figuring himself out. You know what? I don't miss them, not the drama, not the endless routine where I'm the bad guy for saying no while they thrived on my silence. Now I have real peace. Whenever I'm tempted to call, explain, or go back, I ask myself, would you set yourself on fire again just to keep them warm? And the answer is always no. They tried to break me, but I broke the cycle instead. I used to think being the good one in the family meant always saying yes, yes to paying, yes to forgiving, yes to staying quiet while everyone else shouted. But in reality, I was never the good one in their eyes, just the useful one. When I stopped being useful, I became the enemy. That hit me like a ton of bricks one morning, 2 months after that dinner. I was hiking alone, standing on a cliff, looking out over the ocean. The wind was whipping through my jacket, waves crashing below, and my phone buzzed. A voicemail from my mom: "We miss you. Jenny's going to therapy, your father barely speaks. Can't we just go back to how things were?" I laughed out loud. Back to what? Being their silent sponsor, being mocked, manipulated, erased? No way. Never again. A week later, I got a handwritten letter from Jenny. She didn't expect forgiveness, she said, but wanted me to know she'd lost everything: her job, her friends. "Mom says you're happier without us, and I think she's right. But it still hurts. I don't even know who I am anymore." She enclosed a check for $7,000. I didn't need the money, I had already rebuilt more than they'd ever taken. But it symbolized something bigger: accountability. I sent it back with a note: "You can't buy peace with money." I learned that the hard way. The final closure came weeks later. I was in a bookstore, flipping through a novel when I heard a voice behind me: "Hey, is your name Walker?" I turned around to see a woman in her 30s with a toddler. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I think you helped my sister a few years ago with rent. She said your family turned on you." I blinked and said, "Yeah." She smiled and said, "She told me about you. You showed her what boundaries look like. Just wanted to say thanks." She walked away, leaving me frozen, heart pounding. A stranger who I didn't even remember helping, yet my story had reached her. My strength had resonated, not in headlines or drama, but in quiet transformation. Here's the truth I wish I'd known years ago: you don't owe anyone your self-destruction, not for love, loyalty, or even blood. Family isn't just who you're born to, it's who respects you when you say enough. And me? I said it, I meant it, and I never looked back. I'm not their ATM, not their scapegoat, not their safety net. I am free, and I will never pay for my own silence again.